Hi, this is Eddie George from The Ohio State University, and you are listening to the EA Sports NCAA podcast.
What is up, everybody? AJ here, your EA Sports Community Manager. Welcome to another NCAA Football 13 podcast. Joining me today, we have our usual NCAA Football and Madden Community Manager, Justin Duell.
What's up, AJ?
What's up, J. Duell? Also joining us today, no Ben Hommeler. Hommeler's out doing promotion for the game and stuff like that. But we have designer Alex Howell to talk about some Road to Glory today. What's up, Alex?
Not much, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you. We had that webcast this week talking about all the new features for Road to Glory. Why don't we start kind of go over some of the new stuff again for those who missed it?
Oh, sure. Off the top of my head. The big three items, reaction time, which is the ability to slow down using the left trigger. If you had noticed anything in the Heisman blog, that's when we did reveal all that stuff. But for Road to Glory, it has its own progression. It's completely different. If you've grabbed the demo, picked up the demo, if you haven't yet, it's on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. But in the demo, you get to try out Heisman Challenge and use reaction time.
However, it's like a lot of reaction time.
It's a lot of reaction time. It's 15 seconds, in your bank. And in Road to Glory, you start out with 3 seconds. You have 5 seconds in high school, but 3 seconds once you get to college. And it's completely based on your awareness. So it's something that you can progress through the upgrade store. It's not. It takes the gimmick feel away because after you use it one play, you can't really use it the next play. So it adds a lot more to the game. And yes, you actually don't ever have to use reaction time if you don't want to.
So by building XP with your guy, just like you can upgrade his, break tackle, throw power, whatever it be, you can upgrade his awareness, which will directly translate into, shall we say, milliseconds? It's not a full second.
Yeah, it's like tenth of a second, just fractions of a second. I think for every and it's even scaled up to the to the 99. So when you're a 70, you only get a couple of seconds, and it is an upward climb, if that makes any sense, if we're going to make a graph about it.
Okay.
But as you get to a 90 and a 95, it gradually increases from 6 to 8 to 10 seconds. So until you're a 90, you'll only have about 5 seconds.
So the max you can have is still 5 seconds less than one of the Heisman Challenge athletes.
Yes, because for Heisman Challenge, we wanted to feel like you were, the biggest baller out there. So that is accomplished with 15 seconds of reaction time. But as soon as you take it in Road to Glory, it immediately takes the gimmicky feel away out of it, and it's an actual thought about, progressed, designed game mechanic.
Yeah, and you got to be very selective on when you use it. I've been playing Road to Glory quite a bit at my cube, and you got to be very selective, especially even in high school when you got 5 seconds. You got to be selective about when you use that.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple times when you use it, you'll automatically go right through it. You won't have it for the next play, which is why we built in the automatic refill of the bank. Every single play that you're on the field, it'll refill itself 20%. So if you're at 5 seconds, 1 second, all the 10 seconds, it fills up 2 seconds. So with that being said, in Heisman Challenge, when you end a play out of 15 seconds, you automatically are going to get 3 seconds back. So that alone is a huge amount of reaction time. So you could use it every play. So in Road to Glory, it's definitely a different feel. It feels like it is a challenge, and it feels like something that you will want to progress as high as you can. And again, it's nothing that you do have to use. It is that L trigger. We have a lot more improvements to the tuning. We have a lot more improvements to the play calling that just makes the mode itself all around better this year.
Let's talk about Justin. Well, first of all, Alex, you've played football for a lot of your life. Mm-hmm. You played high school ball. You probably played Pop Warner or something before that?
I didn't, actually. I started out in 7th grade. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so
it's I mean, I think you're going where I wanted to go too, is like kind of like the basis, like the thought process behind reaction time.
Well, yeah, I feel like I was going to say it's almost a metaphorical, for lack of a better word, gameplay mechanic that sort of represents what you talk about when you say the game slows down when you get better. Like for the really good guys, when you step up, when you're in high school, when you're a star in high school, which I'm guessing you were probably a star at your high school.
At
'cause
a crappy high school, I was really, really good.
But you ended up going to
You
Auburn.
went to
Shine.
Auburn, so you were good.
You went to Auburn. You backed up
Yeah.
some like NFL guys, so
Yeah.
no harm in
Some
that,
NFL
no
running
shame.
backs. Yeah.
But the game sped up when you say like when you stepped onto the college field.
Yeah, it really does. And I was thinking of how this game mechanic would work in other games. Say when I was playing basketball at the RDV across the street, and I was trying to steal the ball, and I was thinking if you had it in an NBA game, to where you use left trigger and you could steal a ball better. So if you can see the ball bounce, you can actually stick your hand out and steal it. So if you do it at the wrong time, you're going to cause the foul. If you do it at the right time, you can steal the ball. Baseball, if you slow it down to hit better, slow it down to catch the ball. I mean, it is relatable to all sports because it's not just something that we'd like to slow down. It's things in football. This is something that really happens. Is that when you're in the heat of the moment on the football field, you're not really thinking about anything but what you're supposed to be, what your natural reactions are to what's going on in the field. So,
And it's not necessarily. I mean, guys are playing the demo now, so it's not as easy as you would think. Sometimes using reaction time to score. What I've kind of found is you have to readjust like your timing for spin for your jukes when you are using reaction time.
Yep.
Because if you do it too early with reaction time or too late, you're just going to get tackled and waste your reaction time. I personally use it more when I'm going through the line, waiting for the hole, and kind of getting through. And like if I have a one defender breakdown in the open field, that's the two times I tend to use it.
And, when we were going through the design process, there's all sorts of ideas of how we're going to use it. One idea was to actually make it like a quick time event, like a God of War style. When you're in those tense moments, reaction time would come up. And our initial thought was, since we haven't actually introduced this to the users yet, if we're only doing it in certain times, it might, anger a lot of people. But we put the control in the user's hands because we thought it was something that they could be responsible with, that they could learn how to use and appreciate, not something that they were forced to use. So my favorite actually spots to use are on defense because defense is hard enough already as it is, just in general. Playing Road to Glory, so it's more of a challenge than offense. But when you're able to slow the ball down, and actually get to passes, get to interceptions, get to batting the ball down as a DB, that's a huge difference.
What I've actually found fun, and I've been playing my Road to Glory as a quarterback, but so I'll generally use reaction time if I want to just be able to read the defense a little better and know when to pass and throw like that perfect timing route. The second that button comes up, you're able to hit it. It's a little more of a hardcore mechanic to not use it, I would say. But I think it's fun. And here's where I think it's really fun. If you're playing defense and you want to hit stick a guy, you can slow it down because it's tough sometimes to time a hit stick well.
You can time it.
But you can just line that guy up and just lay him out. And I've done that. It's pretty satisfying with the
on this quarterback
time.
routes. That was the first thing that we initially noticed is that when you're using reaction time and you want to hit a guy who's running a 10-yard out or want to hit a guy that's running a slant. Our gameplay is fast. I wouldn't call it absurdly fast, but bringing wives and girlfriends around the office sometimes when they're play testing it, their first immediate reaction was, "Oh, hey, I can actually see what's going on and I can react to it." While yes, for some casual fans, it's easier for them to get into the mode, but for the hardcore fans, for some people like me, it's awesome hitting those guys on those quick routes. It's awesome seeing everything unfold like it used to back in college.
Yeah, and it's just a different different experience within the game, which I like. Now, some people may choose not to use it. That's up to them.
It's up to them.
But I think it's
options on the table.
Just a fun thing. So let's talk a little bit about one of the, I guess, questions we've been getting in the forums and on Twitter and everything. We're talking about. So
let me guess.
Also, well, let's go ahead and say what we did get. You did put difficulty levels in Road to Glory this year.
Yeah. So my main focus this year was the community. I know we have one glaring issue that everybody's asking for, which is custom quarter lengths, and that sucks. Something that we really wanted to get to. But we had a lot of other tasks that we had to accomplish first. We thought the big outlying issue with Road to Glory, looking at it from last year through all the systems that we put in, was adding the difficulty levels. That helps everybody. That helps people who want to get into the game can play it on freshmen and have some fun. But it's really for those hardcore fans who are asking for that difficulty, for asking not to be able to start after 7 or 8 weeks. They wanted the real experience. And we gave that to him. If you play an All-American now, that's the true, hardcore experience. But we even went an extra mile in that feature by putting in Heisman difficulty, which is just absurdly hard, absurdly hard. So.
And you're getting with your position now. I know guys want custom quarter links, and you know that. But for your position now as a running back, like I'm getting 20 to 25 carries or more a game with 5-minute quarters.
Yeah, that was the whole issue with the custom quarter links. It was, I want to play my realistic time. I've read all the comments on everything. I'm not blind to that at all. But yeah, one of the issues that it was, addressing was the fact that you're not getting the ball enough. You're not getting enough carries. So they were, some of them were thinking that if you were to increase the quarter length, that you would getting more carries. But we fixed that. We addressed the play call issues, and we even were, me and my creative director were going back and forth on trying to figure out whether or not, we wanted to make it more realistic or we wanted to make it more fun. And the realistic side was that you still weren't going to get enough carries. And I made the decision to put even more carries in there. So you will get the ball more, and you will get more passes. That's something that we tuned and we play tested, so much out of. But we wanted to err on the side of you getting more game time.
Let me ask you this. Depending on, let's say I choose to be a quarterback and I go to a system where they're running a spread offense. Mm-hmm. Let's say I go to, I don't know, Oregon or something.
Yeah.
Am I going to then get more passing opportunities than if I went to some place where they run the ball a lot more?
Well, all of that's totally based on the playbook. So how it works and how Tom Kenny programmed it is that we take the playbook, whatever playbook you have, and then we run our tuning percentages, our play call percentages behind that. So if you are going to play at a spread school and you want to run the ball a lot, you're at a spread school. You're not gonna change up the entire gameplay of the entire mode just so you can get the ball. So
it is tuned though to give people the ball more in their position. Like if you're a quarterback, you're going to have more passing plays in general.
Yep.
If you're a running back, you're going to have more running plays in general because it's more fun that way, and that's how you tuned it. However, if you want to increase the amount you get to carry the ball, go to a school that runs the ball.
Yeah, and it's not a whole thing of, let's take the run percentages and pass percentages. They're at 70 now. Let's bump them up to 90%. It is nothing like that. There's actually a lot of coding and a lot of programming that went behind it, even a lot of design that went behind it to say, on first down, what do we need to give them? On second down, what do we need to give them? Third down, there's so many different scenarios and so many different things going on behind the scene that we had to put into that. That some things did just fall off the side, that things we couldn't get to. We hit the big major issues that we could take care of on our team, like the difficulty levels, all the new stuff in practice, all of the accomplishments and goal systems. That was a lot of stuff that we could tackle. It's just some small things like the custom quarter links that just fell off the end. So,
well, I mean, I was just going to say, I think it's, when you were talking to someone on the team about, whether it should be more realistic versus more fun, and you kind of resolved on more fun. I would almost say just the fact that you have the option of which school you want to, and they're still going to run their plays. If you're going to Georgia Tech, they're still going to run triple option and stuff like that. I think that's kind of a happy compromise medium between, yes, it's still hardcore and it's still more realistic because if you go to a spread offense, they're going to throw the ball more. Exactly. Whereas if you go to,
we could, hold your hand the entire route during Road to Glory and say, this is the road you're going to go down. This is the scenarios you're going to hit. But we've always, I personally, that's not my design philosophy whatsoever. I'd rather the user take all the data that already exists in the game and do whatever they want to from it. Nowadays in the industry, it's, cutscenes after this, and you're supposed to go do this and this and this. But with the exception of, NCAA football, we have a gigantic game. It is a gigantic RPG that nobody ever wants to think of it in that way because we're all sports nuts. But and I say this line all over and over again, that we have 120 teams with 60 to 70 players on each team with 40 to 50 attributes per player. That's a lot of data. And then you get even deeper than that with all the stadiums and all the rivals and all the conferences, all the schedules. We have a gigantically massive game with a lot of data to work with. So that being said, I'm not going to take an experience and whittle it down when I know all this data exists. So I want to cater to all the fans. I want to cater to the casuals. I want to cater to the hardcores. I'd rather keep the audience broad, and you decide which road you want to go down.
Sure.
We'll give you all the tools, and you go do what you want to do.
Speaking of tools, another tool has been added to Road to Glory this year. Punt returns, kick returns, something people have been
It's
begging
so much fun,
for.
Yep.
So
Another-
if you are,
another community-driven
what
feature.
positions again did you say?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned this in the webcast. There are 4 positions that you can actually.
It's all skill positions. So on the offense, it's running back and wide receiver. And on defense, it's DBs, so cornerbacks and safeties. And it's something that we've been missing. We've been missing that for a while. And to get it in, it's so much fun. It's not only fun to actually return kicks, but using reaction time, it's a lot of fun. Over in Heisman Challenge, when I was testing with Barry Sanders like every single day, it seems like he was the only guy I enjoyed playing with in the beginning because he was the only one we ever had. It was so much fun returning kicks every single time. It was like 5 kicks.
Another guy that's fun with it is Desmond Howard. You
Oh,
return one with him.
He's the return
see him
master. Him and
strike
Tim
that
Brown.
Heisman pose, and it just feels awesome.
It really is, and it's. I think with Barry, most times in his first game since it's an FCS team, you can score over 100 points. I returned 5 kicks in one game with him. You don't have those abilities in Road to Glory, but you have the chance to prove yourself and to break those records just like the Heisman guys.
Very cool. Justin, why don't we go ahead and talk about so a lot of people, as you know, the demo is live right now on Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, as Alex mentioned. A lot of people have been playing it. We released that during E3 last week. But the game has been tuned quite a bit since the demo, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's tuning that's going on. We've obviously been paying attention to the feedback in the forum, sending that over. A lot of things that we'll be able to address day one before the final version's in people's hands. There are things people have called out, such as the frequency of studio updates.
Yeah, explain that a little bit.
Well, it's essentially because you're playing a 3-minute quarter game.
Exactly.
So you're not going to see that when you play a 5-minute quarter game. They'll be less frequent. If you end up setting your dynasty to 8-minute quarters, it's going to be spread out. So essentially, you're taking an entire 3-hour period's worth of feedback from other games around your dynasty and squeezing it into like a 20-minute experience. So that won't be there. Other great things with the demo, just by sharing it with a friend, you get the 5 Pro Combat jerseys. And then the other thing that everybody should at least do is by completing each game. So the Heisman Challenge with RG3, and then going through and playing all 3 of the games in Dynasty, you actually unlock 3 more Heisman legends that you can use. So it's Jim Plunkett, Tim Brown, who is great for returning kicks and things like that, and Archie Griffin. So I know Ohio State fans will be happy to have that 2 Buckeye running backs in the game.
Yeah, very cool.
AKA you.
I actually had a lot of people on Twitter and some OS guys that were saying the game. They were able to play the latest build that we had at E3, which is still being tuned, but they were able to play that and notice quite a big difference between that and the demo. So if there is something that you are maybe not sure about in the demo, it's just remember that thing is probably a month and a half old. The build,
Yeah, it's
tuning wise.
Yeah, tuning wise, it's really old.
So it'll definitely be changing once you get the game in your hands and beyond, as we have the tuning updates and the ability to do that. What else should we get to, Alex, regarding Road to Glory?
I was going to touch on the fact that with all the gameplay additions this year, that they go hand in hand with some of the improvements that we've put in. Like you were talking about the passing game earlier.
Yeah.
The passing game, the trajectory of the ball, it's fixed so much that passing feels really, really good. And using that in conjunction with reaction time is just like a 1-2 combo. So if we were to put reaction time in last year without these new passing trajectories, it might not feel as good. Or if we were to put in the kick return and punt return without the reaction time, that might not feel a little different too, because as soon as you get the ball, you might just get hit
Yeah,
automatically.
and it goes beyond that too. You've not only do you have the trajectories, but you've also got the ability to place the ball in spots of the field, in holes in the defense.
Quarterback avoidance moves. For
Quarterback avoidance, new throw on the run animations, obviously a ton of new catch animations, which I notice new ones every day.
People,
and just a lot of
one of the things that guys have to do is kind of open up their playbook again. There's been passing plays that there's like 15 different routes that I didn't run an NCAA football 12.
I never ran comeback routes.
Yeah.
Rarely ever.
Comeback
but those
routes
things
are good.
are money.
Yep, you're
If you
short.
run enough
You're short like West Coast style passes, like teams like USC will run things like that to get a speed receiver open over the middle and keep going with the new catch animations. You don't get that kind of like stop and hitch behind you catch. You get kind of one where you get the ball in stride and keep moving. So it does all play hand in hand.
I will say this: it doesn't seem like to me that there's anything that I can just go out and run every time. Like, there's not like a route that I know is going to be a completion every time I run it. Like, it just depends on what defense you're going against, how good the players are, whether they're in zone or man to man, and the fact that they have to be watching the ball when it's thrown to actually make a play on it also helps a lot too.
Yeah, see, for me, I have a couple good plays that I'm keeping, but they're for specific defenses, right?
Yeah, right.
What the other thing is like for me, it's recognizing the coverage at the snap's more important now. Because if I can identify you're in a cover 3, I know where the soft spot is. I can throw my receiver open.
Yeah.
So it really puts more of that mental aspect to the game that because previously once the ball was snapped, you knew they're in cover 3. You're already running your route. There's nothing you could do, but now you can kind of alter that.
And I know we've probably talked to Scant and Larry about this a lot, but they did do the gameplay team did a really good job just covering all that, where you do have to open up your playbook, and you can open your playbook and just do different things. So it's a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, like in practice mode in Road to Glory this year, if you're on the scout team, you'll be running the opponent's offense and defense, just, depending on which side you're playing the ball on. But I found out when I was playing that you get to experiment with a lot of different offenses. So if you're playing on the scout team as the quarterback, you're going to be running whatever offense of your opponent that week. So if you're Auburn, you'll be playing Clemson's offense. So during the SEC, you're going to have a bunch of different offenses, a bunch of different playbooks. You play at USC, you're going to get a whale of different playbooks that you can actually see what this offense is like and kind of get like a cool different practice feel on learning how all the different playbooks work. It's pretty cool.
Alex, before we wrap up here today, do you have anything else you wanted to touch on regarding Road to Glory or even Heisman Challenge?
Yeah, well, scouting reports, but I just really barely touched on like 2 seconds ago. The scouting reports are a really cool addition to let the user know way more feedback than we've normally given them on the situation on their, where they're on the scout team, where they are on the depth chart, what they have to do in order to move up, and also who you will be playing on the scout team as. It's a cool addition along with the practice facility, which is just awesome to me because that's where I basically spend all my time. And the awards and the accomplishments are a lot of fun and really extend the depth of the mode itself.
I do like that, so you can kind of compete with your buddies on, hey, if you're both playing on varsity, there's a good chance you're both going to win the Heisman at some point or win a national championship in Road to Glory. But do you have a better career than your buddy, and you can compare those by the scores and
it's not even just varsity anymore. We have one for varsity, which is just basically the common one. But then we have one for the hardcore users, the All-American and Heisman, which is fun. It's a lot of fun because you can win the Heisman every year. You can't do all these awards that you'd be able to do on varsity.
But just being able to compete with your buddies in a single player mode like that is really cool.
Yeah, and how the difficulty levels are spread out. It's not just a difficulty level. So you're not just playing on varsity gameplay and it's the same Road to Glory. You're playing on varsity gameplay, but you're also your coach trust and your XP points are tuned accordingly. So when you get up to All-American and Heisman, those tune according as well. So you'll get more positive. You'll get less positive coach trust points, but way more many negative coach trust points.
Can I just mention one little thing? And this is a detail that wasn't really, or an improvement, I would say, that wasn't really mentioned in the webcast. And maybe, it's a small improvement to some, and maybe some won't care, but I think the hardcore guys that get into this mode and get into the customization side of things are going to notice this. So props on letting me see my guy's head when I'm creating my guy. It used to be you had the helmet on, and so I was like, okay, that kind of looks like that could be me under the. But then I'd get into the mode, and it's like some redheaded dude with a goatee or something.
Yeah,
because I couldn't tell.
We
but
added in a ton of new heads this year to Road to Glory and to Dynasty for if you want to create a recruit. But there are a ton more options. I think last year we shipped with maybe 11 or 12 different head variations, and this year I think it's over 50, over 60 different heads, which is, and also you get to see what you
the
look
helmet
like before.
when you're picking your head.
Yep.
For those who don't know, you used to have the helmet on, but now it takes the helmet off when you're picking your head for your guy.
And we actually
him.
added in a lot more new vignettes for that as well, that showcase what you look like with your helmet off. So it's pretty cool. And also one more addition that we never really touch on. What I kind of like growing up, always liked secret modes and unlocks and stuff like that. So I really haven't publicized this as much as I should have. But if you do win the Heisman with a Heisman player and Heisman Challenge. Say you win it with Herschel Walker, you'll be able to use Herschel Walker's model in Road to Glory. You won't get those attributes. You won't start off with 99s. You'll just start out Road to Glory as Herschel Walker's model. You won't be able to change his name. You won't be able to change his appearance or anything like that. But it's a fun little addition that me and Tom Kenny like to sneak in like we usually do.
So if you've ever wanted to see what it would be like to play as Doug Flutie in high school,
yes, exactly,
you can do that. And with
awesome.
The creation tools of Team Builder, you can create whatever you want. So
Yep.
a lot of fun in Road to Glory to be had. Alex, thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
We look forward to having you on the show more as we
Sweet.
get into the season. Once the game comes out, which, by the way, July 10th.
July 10th.
Cannot wait for July 10th.
Me
But,
either.
July 10th, pre-order now, whether it's Amazon, GameStop, wherever you'd like to go buy your games.
And keep up the feedback. We like hearing the feedback,
Yeah.
negative, positive.
Reading it.
It just means that y'all care enough to show it to your opinion. So
Yes.
I
So
like it.
thank you guys. Thanks, Alex. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.